Alright, welcome back. It is Go Time Garage, and we're under the hood. Under hood of the 76. This is a 454. It is the factory engine. And I've cleaned up the intake manifold, trying to make this thing look better. We're going to pull that carburetor off. I've already broken some things loose, but just to go over it and show you. This bracket goes on the bolts behind it. That's got the throttle cable, attaches to the throttle arm right here. Just took that off. Get it out of the way. Well, I say get it out of the way. There. And we have 4 nuts. These studs are sticking up out of the manifold. There's one here, and then one on each back corner. There's a nut run down each one of these. Just run these nuts off, and this thing is no longer anchored down. Now I put some little black caps where these vacuum lines go. See, this one goes here, and I've got a little one that goes here. So I just disconnected the vacuum lines, disconnect the throttle, take these nuts off, and this carburetor will come right off. Okay, set this out of the way. Now you may have a spacer, you may not, depending on how high your carburetor needs to be, but there's a gasket. If whoever did this last did it correctly, there's a gasket. If you don't have a new one, try to be careful so you don't tear it up. You should replace the gasket. These are like a cardboard composite, and they tear and they break. And anytime you pull it, you should put a new one to get a new seal. So that is basically all there is to pulling the carburetor. I'm going to clean some of this up, and we've got a new one. That was an Edelbrock 750. We're going to put a Holley Demon on this. It's also a 750. And oh, sorry, I didn't mention this little ground here goes to the electric choke on the side of that carburetor. I'll show you on the new one when we put it on, but for now that's removing the old carburetor. Let me get down from here, get some stuff ready, and we'll get ready to put the new one on. We're also going to be doing valve covers, changing spark plugs, so we got a few things to do. So stand by. Alright, you guys, we're doing some upgrades. But before I get started doing that, I was going to point a few things out for those who may not know. Okay, I've got the valve cover off. This is the valve train. Valve springs. The valve is running through the spring, opening and closing at the bottom of the cylinder head. This is a rocker. It does this number. That bar right there, that is a push rod. It pushes that end up, which pushes this end down, compresses the spring. Then it goes back. It comes up with what's called the lifter, which is inside the actual block. That thing will kind of go up and down, pushing that rod, which creates this rocker to rock. Open and closing valves. Okay? There are 2 for each cylinder. 2 springs, 2 rockers, 2 push rods, 2 valves for each cylinder on each side. And that what is just underneath your valve cover. Now that is as simple as 4 holes on this side, 4 screw holes. We got to put a gasket on first, and then we're just going to set the valve cover on. And I pulled those ones off because they're old and they're ugly, and I wanted to put some shiny ones on. If we can't make it faster, we can make it look fast, right? So anywho, that's just a quick one about what's under your valve cover, what the valve train is. Rockers and springs, push rods. That's the long and short of what's under there. So I'm going to get that valve cover, I'm going to get it set on, and we'll go from there. We're also going to be, I've already pulled the old carburetor off. like I said before, we're gonna put a new carburetor on, and you can't see it now, but I cleaned up that manifold. So we're trying to make this, it's all clean and it's looking real nice, but we're trying to make it to tighten up all the seals, new spark plugs, new spark wires, or spark plug wires, and get some chrome on here, get it pretty, and get it running good, get it looking good. So that's the goal. That's what we're still doing. So anyway, that's enough about that. I'm going to get the valve cover and we'll go from there. Okay, so the new gasket is on. You can see it. Obviously it's blue. Before you put that on, make sure you clean the surface underneath where that gasket's going to go, so that there's nothing there, none of the old gasket, or if there was some rubberized gasket or whatever may be there. Make sure you clean that off real good. Scrape it with a razor, a little sandpaper, whatever. Get it nice and clean. And now we're going to put our new valve cover on. Well, actually, we're going to see if it fits, because it's considerably taller than the other one. Getting it on and getting the gasket lined back up with all the little screw holes can be frustrating, but it should all match up. Alright, so that's on now. It looks a lot better, right? Plus just that right there probably gave us another 3 horsepower just because it's shiny and it says 454. So that's on, easy peasy. I'm going to put the 3 bolts down here, and then of course there's 4 over here, and then 3 on this side. We'll get that all bolted down and then jump back into the next step. Okay, got it all tightened down. It's looking very shiny. Also, got this. Because it does something. It's also shiny, and it was right by the register, so of course I bought it. That's another 2 horsepower, so not too bad. Alright, we got to get the other side on, and still got to get that carburetor. So this is done, tightened up. I got to get some stuff out of the way here. Get that out of the way. We'll get these spark plug wires back on. I actually changed out the spark plugs already. You didn't get to see me do that. Sorry about that. I'll go ahead and get those spark plug wires back over here plugged in, get them where they go, get this all cleaned up, and we'll see if we're going to go carburetor or if we're going to get on that other valve cover. Alright. Well, as you can see, I decided to go with the valve cover first. Why not? Give myself less room to work for the carburetor. Same thing over here. 3 bolts along the inside, 4 along the outside. You can see it's got the same blue gasket underneath. Again, I've done the spark plugs. That's just a remove and replace situation. So I guess now we're going to go ahead and get to putting the carburetor on there and see if we can maybe get this engine turned over. Alright, let's do it. Alright, I think we're ready to get this beast on here. Now you remember when I took the old one off, the gasket surface needs to be cleaned. So I've done that already. Metal to metal, we want to put a gasket down. It's just going to slide on over these studs. New gasket, there we go. And the butterfly valves on the bottom of this carburetor were they were hitting the manifold. So had to get a spacer. That'll go on next. Right? Since we've got another metal surface, which that surface is already prepped as well, we need another gasket. Okay, metal gasket, metal gasket. Now we're ready to land the carburetor on top of that. Now sit there just like that. This big rubber, well, it's not big, but this rubber line back here, that's the PCV valve. It's like a vent tube, a vacuum tube. It'll go right here in the top of that valve cover. So I'm going to move it out of the way for now. Alright, so this, remember this little bracket for the throttle? It goes on the back two studs back here. And then it connects right here on this pin on the throttle arm. Well, it's supposed to. It's not really sliding in, is it? Okay. There you go. We have another tiny vacuum line that's going to go right here in front. Also, when I took the old one off, I didn't show you. Fuel line connects and disconnects right here on the side. On this one, it's probably similar to whatever one you're putting on, but fuel line. And then we're going to reconnect the ground, which I got to get a little extension to reach here. Reconnect the ground, and we should be good to go. So I'm going to get an extension and get this this little pin where the throttle arm connects, get that kind of beveled out a little bit so it'll fit better. Then we can nut this thing up, prime it, and see if it'll bark off. Alright, stand by. Okay, let's get in here and see what we're doing. So we've got the ground. Got a little extension connected right there. Going over to the electric choke. Fuel line, I've got an inline filter. Got it tightened up. We've got our vacuum line. And if you can see here, I put a little C-clamp right there, or a C-clip, to attach this throttle cable. Make sure to get your spring back on there. So we're good there. And again, this is the PCV valve. It just kind of pops in and out, that rubber grommet, top of the valve cover. It's hooked to a vent on the back of the carburetor. We've got our nuts on, all four, all the way around. We're all tightened up. So I think we might be able to prime this and, you know, see if it works. So let's do that. Tell you what, let's get a little fuel. Alright, sorry. It's actually so hot here. Summer in Texas. My phone shut off. I'm recording this on my phone. The phone shut off. It said outside of temperature range for operation. So yeah, here we go. A little bit of gas in there. Let's get some of the bowls. Oopsie, spilled it. Okay, good. And now let's see if it'll start. See if I got any power in this battery. Oh, we almost had it. Try again. Almost. Get a little gas. Alright. Let's go make some adjustments. Alright, I don't think I needed any adjustments. Actually think it was just a little flooded. Let's try again. Alright, we've got it. Sounds like it's idled up way too high. So we're going to turn that down and here in a second, when I get it dialed in a little bit, we'll do it again. Alright, so after having that running, it seems like we've got a little bit of a misfire. And I'll show you a little trick to try to figure out where. Okay, I got a spray bottle. I'm going to spray the headers. See how that just dissipates right away? Go to the next one. Okay, go to the next one. That one's good. Go to that very back one. Ah, it's not bubbling. That didn't get as hot as the others. That means that's a problem. Let's come to this side. Steaming. Steaming. Not as much. Steaming. See how all of those have dried up except for that third one back? That one's not firing. So now we know this cylinder, third cylinder back on the driver's side, and fourth cylinder back on the passenger side are not firing correctly. So, a little squirt bottle of water after you've had it running for a few, get those pipes hot, and then that's how you can check to see what's firing and what's not. Alright. So it's probably going to take me a little bit of time to figure out what's going on with the misfire. One over here, one over there. So we're going to call it good for now, but we did accomplish what we set out. The valve covers are changed, spark plugs are changed, carburetor is swapped out, it's running. I've got the breather back on. It's looking real good. So for now, we're going to put that in the wind column, and I don't know what we'll do next. I'll try to get you back in here. If you got any suggestions, drop me something in the comments. Let me know what I'm doing right, what I'm doing wrong. Appreciate you guys watching. Have a good one. See you soon.